the Muslims will vote as a bloc for the Labour Party. So for their own very narrow ends, they are really throwing the interests of this nation to the wind. So they are not a very patriotic party in this respect, because they are really creating a column which is not democratic, which is separatist, which has a very strong fundamentalist core, and with a minority which can be very disruptive if not destructive. And Labour, with all that knowledge, is keeping the public here in ignorance and trying to say that all communities are the same and multiculturalism means different elements, they are the same, amalgamated in a proper, decent, healthy whole. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. So I repeat, peace and prosperity of this country depends on this majority community dominating this territory in a virile and manly manner.
All right. Okay, I want to start with a quote from the Bible. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. Proverbs 22 verse 28. How many of the ancient landmarks which our forefathers set in this country have they removed? You can scarcely go to any British town or city and recognise it, and that which our grandparents would have recognised, because the beautiful buildings that they'd have seen were torn down not by Hitler's Luftwaffe in most cases, but by corrupt, particularly Labour politicians in the 60s and 70s who took backhanders to allow developers to tear down our heritage and put up Marxist concrete boxes in their place. That was a deliberate act of cultural sabotage. And you'd have seen on Question Time the other day when I was questioned, and didn't have a chance to frame a reply, of course, but did I think it was deliberate what they'd done with multiculturalism? And I said, well yes, it looks like it from here. And 2 days later in the newspapers, there you are, a senior Labour spokesman saying, yes, we did it deliberately. We encouraged multiracialism deliberately to put our political opponents, the right in inverted commas, on the back foot to make sure we stayed in power forever. And it's part and parcel with the same thing. It's not just destroying our identity by mass immigration. It's also destroying our cultural identity by wrecking our cities. It's also taking away our political identity and traditions by submerging us under a European superstate. It's all been a coordinated, systematic, deliberate plan by the Labour Party and the left in general, which now includes David Cameron and his Tory thugs, to destroy this country and deny our children their birthright. And it's a disgrace which we are going to put right. Perhaps the most powerful, the most evocative examples of the way in which they are tearing down the landmarks that our fathers set, our forefathers set, is seen in town after town, city after city, where the churches, which symbolised the religion on which the freedoms and identity of this country are largely built, are not torn down, but they are converted into mosques. We see it literally from Cornwall to Glasgow, from towns on the west coast of Wales, right the way across to East Anglia. Not a day goes past without this happening. You see it, and make no mistake, this isn't something just happening again by accident, and the Christian elite perhaps are great and good, the archbishops, all the people who sold the pass, perhaps they don't realise the significance, the symbolism. But the Muslims do, and I do not blame the Muslims. I blame the archbishops, the bishops, the priests. They're the ones who have done this. They are indeed traitors. It is deliberate religious symbolism designed against our people. It's there in Islamic religious teaching that no building of the infidels, the kafirs, the unbelievers, can be taller than a mosque. So they want our tall buildings. Everywhere they can, they will build a mosque taller than the highest possible church. and because often the spires of a church are tall and everything else, that will do. And they're taking these things over, not primarily so their people can worship their God, but so that the symbolism is there, the power is there, to show that their way is stronger than our way. But their way of organising the world, their way of looking at the world, is going to predominate over and crush our way of looking at the world. And I tell you this, over my dead body. And again I say, don't blame them. They believe that their God has ordained this country to become part of Dar al-Islam, part of the Islamic world. And they, I'm sure, believe that their God has turned our leaders insane, literally insane, so that it can happen. And how can you blame them for thinking they're doing the will of their God? Because it pretty much looks like that when our own leaders sell the pass and allow them to do these things in our country, against our people, against our traditions and our heritage and our religion and everything that we hold dear. It's our leaders we must blame and not any of the immigrants, even those who take advantage of it.